What I'd like to do now is give you some demonstrations on how acrylic paint can be manipulated. And this first demonstration I'm going to do, we're going to use a heavy wash and let it dry and then put down a very thin wash over the top of it, and how we can literally eat back through that with just water. Let's just mix up a green color. Okay, I'm going to mix up a little more of this green. I want to paint two squares here. I have two types of demonstrations that I want to show you. Let's go ahead and paint over the top of this first one and really get several layers of nice heavy paint. Let that dry. I'm going to give this another nice heavy coat. Okay, on our first square on the left, I'm going to add a very thin wash of bluish purple. And on the bottom part, I'm going to add a thin wash of white over the top. Okay, and I'm going to allow that to dry. Acrylic paint dries to the touch in 5 minutes or less, particularly when we're using our dryer, but it doesn't cure out until 12 or 24 hours later, and sometimes maybe even longer depending on the thickness of the paint. But there's this time period where it's still kind of green, it's dry to the touch, but we can manipulate some of the colors there. And let's start by spraying a little bit of water on the top of that and dampening it. And what I want to do is just lift out some of this top color, this thin wash, and so some of the undercolor is coming up through there. And this might be a place in landscape painting that where we'd want to do some of this. And I can also do some scraping. And it's a subtle difference. Let's try that with the white. And then we can scrape that a little bit also. And again, it's not a huge change, but the values are very close and the colors are close to being the same and very subtle. This is just to show some of the things that can be done, and that some of this can be moved and manipulated even after it's dry to the touch. Now on this other side, or right side over here, we're going to do something entirely different. But first of all, I need to give this several coats of isolation. And this is nothing more than a clear coat. It needs to be dry in between each coat. Preferably, the more isolation coat we can build up, the safer the color is underneath. Give this about 3 coats of clear and let it dry in between, and then we're going to come back with some alcohol, just plain old rubbing alcohol, and some Q-tips, and move some paint around that way also. The product that I'm using for clear is soft gel gloss. This is just nothing more than clear polymer emulsion, and it looks milky as we put it down at first, but that will dry very clear and very shiny. Okay, we can tell that it is dry to the touch, but it's not totally cured because it has a kind of a rubbery, soft feel to it. So we're going to use this time when it's like this to do some manipulating of the colors. And we're going to, at this time, put a wash over the top of this with this isolation coat separating the wash and the color that's underneath. There, I've got that dry. And now I'm going to use a little isopropyl rubbing alcohol and Q-tip. And with this, I'm going to lift off some areas also. Now if I sit here and rub long enough, I'll go through that isolation coat, through the green that's underneath, and right on down to the white board. So we have to be careful and not do that. And one of the reasons we want to give several layers of isolation coat is to help protect that bottom layer. And I can demonstrate how we can go through the whole thing. There we come, the white's starting to come up.